Welcome to Woodworking with Wes. Today we have a project that I think all of you can relate to. We have a dining room table that has been used and used and used, and we're going to refinish the top of it. The legs, it's a very heavy duty table. These are the legs to it, and we're not going to refinish those parts. We're just going to freshen those up and give them a little touch up. But the tabletop, if you look at the tabletop real close, this tabletop has been used, and we're going to sand this all down, give it a fresh coat of stain and lacquer, and make it look brand new. Let's watch how we do that. I want to talk a little bit about it. We're sanding this off, and because of all the junk that's on this tabletop, it loads up the sandpaper real quick, and it gets these little clumps on it. I'm just going to kind of knock those little clumps off with my fingernail so that I can keep using it. But we're going to go through a lot of sandpaper to get this project done. That's just part of refinishing an old table. Takes a lot of sanding. We're starting to work our way through the finish. Just so you know, we started off with 120 grit sandpaper. I think I'm going to change to 80 grit sandpaper, take the finish down a little bit faster, and then we'll come back with 120, and then the final sand will be a 150 before we stain. So I'm going to change over and go to 80 grit paper. We've got one little end of it sanded. We wanted to do that first to kind of see what kind of wood we had. Got kind of a mystery wood here. I don't know what I have. It has a little bit of a cherry look to it and a little bit of a cherry color to it. We'll know more as we get into the rest of the table. I don't know exactly what color we're going to use in order to try to match. Might have to put a little red with it, but we're going to try to go back to the original color as best we can to match the legs. But here's where we start off. We start sanding down like this. We'll clean this all up to bare wood all the way across. That's quite a time-consuming process. I won't make you watch all of that, but we'll sand it all down and then we'll go to the stain part. Now, one thing that I will say about refinishing, we could have used a stripper and stripped off the finish and then started sanding, but the finish seems to be quite thin on this table, and so we're just going to sand it off rather than go through the mess of a stripper. So we'll just proceed, and we'll show you how it goes toward the end. We've been sanding on our table for a little bit now, and we have found a couple of things out. We have kind of a mystery meat sandwich going on here. We talked about it probably being cherry, and there is a cherry wood on top, but it's a veneer. And on the edge, we have just a secondary wood. They haven't bothered to put a cherry edge on it. We've decided to change our staining strategy because of that. What we're going to do is we're going to stain this with a walnut stain, and we're going to stain the edges a little heavy so that it hides that secondary wood, and we're going to stain the top thin enough that it allows some of this natural cherry red and grain to come through. So again, we allowed our project to kind of tell us the way we had to go. We're going to go ahead and continue to finish sand, but a little different than we thought when we started. But that's every project. Keep watching. We've been working on our table. It has taken us 3 hours to sand it out, but just so you know, that's the kind of work that it takes. Here's our table, all sanded out. Again, like I said, we have a cherry veneer top, but we have kind of a secondary wood. If you look, you can see the difference in the color. This is kind of a white wood, this is a cherry, and you can see the difference in the color. We don't want that color to show up, so we're going to stain it dark, and we're going to put a walnut stain. I did the leaf over here so that you can kind of see what's going on. Here's our edge, the secondary wood. It's dark, and so you really can't see. And then we put the walnut stain on the top, and it just brings the grain out. The grain will be even more visible when we put the finish on. Right now it's just stain, and the stain is drying. But watch how I stain, and we're just using a Minwax or not a Minwax, excuse me, a Sherwood wiping stain. Sorry, got my color tag on there, but we're just using a Sherwood wiping stain, a staining sponge, and wiping with paper towels, just the way I always do it. Remember, I always like to apply my stain in a circular motion like this so that it drives the finish into the wood, brings out the grain and the color. A little bit of stain in that groove. Okay, there we are. That's what it's going to look like. We're going to do the other half now, and then we're going to send it to the finish shop, and then we'll show it to you when we're all done. We have our table back from the paint shop. We put a conversion varnish finish on it, but you can use conversion varnish or a lacquer or even a polyurethane. Any type of finish that you wanted to put on it was fine. We just used a conversion varnish. I wanted to talk a little bit about this project as a DIY project. This is a great DIY project. With a palm sander and a little elbow grease in an afternoon, this project could be done by anybody. Be a little adventurous. Go to a garage sale. Buy an old table. Fix it up. Give it a new life. That's a great way to kind of get an introduction into finish or even into woodworking. This is a great project. We love to do little things like this and bring pieces of furniture back to life. This is the kind of fun things to do that are not really cabinet making, but still part of woodworking. And we do a little of that almost all the time at Woodworking with Wes.